Did you ever wonder if the real-world army could defeat the G-man apocalypse? How would they be able to fare up against this massive fortress? What are the strategies and tactics that they are going to use against him? Well, in order to find out, we are going to split the army's power into 5 levels. With each level, the army would get a huge increase in their overall power. We'll see how each level would fare up against the fortress, and finally, what would happen if the army went all out on the fortress, if they'll be able to bring it down. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Firstly, I think we should give it a little scenario here. It's a normal day on Earth. Everything is going normal, but then horror strikes as a giant sword tears the ground open, and emerging from it is the G-man apocalypse, causing massive destruction on the city's roads and buildings. I guess that won't be a great day on Earth, as there would be panic everywhere. So now we have the G-man apocalypse on Earth. Let's put the army up against it. Responding to the attack, our general, let's use this mean guy here, sends the army's first level, which consists of just normal soldiers with guns and rockets. But let's say something like an advanced type of special squad to give them at least some leverage. So our boy Jimmy is chilling up there, just doing his stuff, destroying buildings, and he spots the team of soldiers and they are shooting at him. Well, Jimmy is kind of a chill guy, so he'll just send his minions at them, the fake Jimmies. Whoa, we all saw how hard it was for the pencil clones to take these clones down, as they are durable as hell. So just imagine a full fleet of these guys. Those soldiers are cooked for sure, although with their numbers, they'll be able to damage the fake Jimmies using their highly powered rockets and rifles, but it won't be enough to put them down. So with this, the G-man apocalypse was able to clear the first level of the army, but with the consequence of some damaged clones. Well, since they have been overpowered, the army would have to do better. So our mean general would order for the army's level 2 threat, which consists of tanks and fighter jets. Well, here's where things start getting real, as now they have more firepower and can attack from above. For this level, I could say we have already seen a glimpse of what it's like in the series when they fought the G-man apocalypse with the jets. Yeah, we saw how ineffective the jets were against the apocalypse and how their blasts didn't do much to him. But in this case, the fighter jets coming would not go after his body, as the humans would be smart enough to know it wouldn't affect him. They'll go after the clones instead. And yeah, coupled with the tanks and the firepower, they should be able to wipe them out. But we all know that this won't be that easy, as the clones too can fly. Although they are not as fast as the jets, they'll be able to take some of them down with their lasers. It would be quite a battle, but based on the durability of the clones, although they'll be fewer in number, they'll be able to survive. However, the army would notice that despite all the efforts, the clones are still there. So they'll send in the level 3 threat, more tanks, jets, and more high-tech weapons. Yeah, the army would come fully prepared this time, with the full fleet of jets and tanks, as he's now tagged a global threat. They'll launch even more attacks from all angles, just like a swarm of bees. The clones would try their best to at least destroy some tanks, but based on the fact that they are being ambushed from all directions, it won't take long before they'll reach their breaking point, and the attacks would have a very huge impact on them. The army would become successful in clearing the clones finally, but they now have to deal with the fortress. But little did they know, the fortress had its own defense mechanism, the guns. They are just like giant machine guns that are long range with rapid fire rates, and definitely they would be able to shoot down fighter jets. So G-man turns these beasts of guns on, and there's rapid fire in all directions. The jets try to maneuver their way around while shooting back at the fortress, but some of them are getting unlucky and are getting hit, which is causing a lot of collateral damage. But the army presses on, as they don't have any choice but to bring them down. Some of the jet pilots decide to take some of the guns down, kamikaze style, sacrificing their lives to make sure humanity wins the battle. And yeah, some of the guns are taken down, but he's so massive that the guns are positioned too wide apart. You can't take them down easily, and this continues on, with G-man going all out on the firepower. Eventually, the army starts running out of jets, so they come in with more tanks. More tanks! But the guns still blast them all. Damn, that would have stung for the soldiers driving the tanks. Now it seems that humanity is losing the war. Despite the combined efforts from all the countries of the world and the troops, the fortress is still standing. Well, the army has to step up their game. They'll go on to retreat and re-strategize, and this time it would be the level 4 threat. For this level, they would involve the scientists and anybody that could possibly help. So, coming together, they'll all conduct a series of tests. But the dilemma would be, should they amp up the military forces forces by giving them more technological weapons, or should they send in drones or non-human machines to reduce collateral damage? But the mean general insists they gather all the forces, both human and machine. There's no time for thinking. They have to be logical about it. So, the scientists come up with a plan to figure out what is inside the fortress. They stage a mission and send a group of soldiers. These soldiers would crawl up to where Jimmy was and set up the machine that would scan him. So, they move on. But unfortunately, the mission fails as they were caught. And yeah, they never returned with the results. But they are not going to give up yet, as the general has given them days to do their science stuff. If not, they'll move in. The military seems to see G-man as a big moving fortress that may feel the attacks as it damages his parts. Some even speculate that it's a living organism that evolved and took the form of a giant machine. But in all, they still had to bring the fortress down if they want humanity to survive. They have already evacuated all the humans to a location, which they called the safe zone. But G-man is already approaching. So they come up with a plan to carry the giant radar machine up in the air and scan G-man from above. So before he could react, the signal would have been sent back to them. Although it was a one-way mission, some soldiers still agreed to do it. So they set up and the mission was finally successful. But G-man smoked the hell out of the jets with his giant core, sucking them in. But they got the information. Now, on scanning it, they found out that it's actually a base and it has an entrance. But they didn't find out that Jimmy was controlling it because he was so small relative to the massive fortress, so it would be hard to detect him. But the mean general has had it with their science bullshit, so he orders them to move on to the battlefield. G-man has probably walked and trampled upon almost the entire city and is going on to another, about to reach where the refugees are hiding. So the army storms with the level 4 threat, a combination of everything they have, and it starts becoming evident that they won't back down. So with this amount of force, Jimmy would realize that he has to act. If not, he'll be overshadowed. So he moves, and for the first time, they see that the fortress is trying to attack them. So they intensify the barrage of attacks, and this time, it's having effects on his body, destroying parts. So Jimmy goes on to swing his massive sword, which sends a massive shockwave that destroys the entire battlefield, along with the tanks and jets, with a massive surge of energy. Yeah, that would definitely send shocks down the spines of the army, and the mean general would have no other choice but to use their last resort, as they have had a glimpse of his power. But using this would mean that the fallout might destroy the entire battlefield and even potentially make Earth inhabitable, based on the amount of nukes to be detonated. And there's no time to evacuate everyone out of the battlefield just outside the refugee camp. Yeah, it would be a tough decision to make, but the general is ready to sacrifice it all to take down this fortress. At least some people may survive the fallout. So he orders the level 5. But before it goes live, the scientists come in with an update and they have found out that there may be something in the center controlling it, and they have the full scan of the fortress, which would enable them to know how to locate it. However, the problem is how to get in. So they'll discover a door that they can use to possibly enter. Although they don't know how they might be able to get through the door, they'll have to take chances with the plan fully laid out. The mean general finally agrees to their plan and calls off the nuke strike just for a certain amount of time. So they proceeded with the plan. They have to destroy the thing at the center, probably controlling it. Little did they know what they are about to meet there. So they get on G-man. And obviously, they have to fight off toilets and mutants. As they get to the door, they are faced with a challenge, opening it as they can't hack Skibidi language. So they just blow the door open and stormed in. This time, this mission is a one-way mission, as they are mounting explosives inside the fortress to blow it up from the inside out. But to be safe, they have to get to the center controlling it. But as they get there, they can't believe their eyes as they saw Jimmy. And yeah, he's not too welcoming to his guests. He starts tearing them apart, blasting his lasers around. With this, the soldiers know that they have already filled the whole place with explosives, and this is the only way that they can save humanity. So they order ground base to detonate the bombs, giving the ultimate sacrifice for humanity. With a loud bang, the G-man apocalypse implodes from the inside, destroying both Jimmy and the fortress, collapsing down in a large crash. When all the smoke clears, the humans realized they had successfully defeated the fortress. But our boy Jimmy did not go down that easily, as when they examined the site, they saw that something was still moving. So they captured him and locked him up, securing him from the rest of the world, never to be seen ever again. But the humans would have to rebuild and hope this never happens again. However, check out this video to see what would happen if all the camera titans in the Skibidi verse invaded the multiverse. Unique Clockman out.